Welcome to Empowerment Radio. My name is Dr. Friedemann, and I'm so glad that you decided to join me. Empowerment Radio is about giving you the insights, tools, and solutions to address some of the most challenging aspects of our daily lives. So sit back, relax, and empower yourself. Welcome to Empowerment Radio. I'm your host, Dr. Friedemann, and we are definitely living in very interesting times, right? And the topic of today, I think, is probably one of those topics that all of us can use a little bit more of, and all of us can benefit from it. It's actually a real superpower when you are using it the way I feel it can be used. And what I'm talking about today is that power and that art of surrendering. Now, how do you feel right now in your current situation? I don't know if you are in lockdown or if your life has any kind of sense of more normalcy, and if you are still in a place of feeling confined, do you simply accept and go with the flow, or do you feel like the wall is just falling on your head and the people around you are driving you nuts, and the unknowns of the future are really making you feel uneasy, and the regrets or the longing for the past also bring up a lot of emotions? How are you doing? Do you feel a lot of resistance coming up, like these people in different states that are protesting against the lockdowns, protesting with guns against the virus? Or do you feel actually you have practiced the art of surrendering, unknowingly maybe, but you have done something in that regard? And today I want to talk about surrendering, because it seems to me every 10 years, life throws me a "you better surrender" ball, and I just have to catch it. 10 years ago, for example, my father died and in April, and then my mom was diagnosed with cancer, and then Danielle had surgery in June that basically was afterwards clear that we couldn't have kids. And in July, my mom died pretty quickly. So it was like one thing after another, and there was nothing I could do about it. And I am known for someone who doesn't easily give up, and also known sometimes to be like a dog with a bone who just has a goal and wants to reach it at all cost. But in that case, all I could do was just to accept that this is what happens, and that I need to deal with the new realities that came after that with, hopefully very little resistance, which I wasn't really good at, to be honest. But it taught me a lot on how it feels if you don't surrender, and if you stay in resistance, and if you stay in the fighting mode. And now we are all asked right now, when do we fight for what we need, for our life back, for our goals, for our security, and when do we accept and surrender? Now, let's talk about surrender, because that's really the main topic. I think most of us know how to fight. Maybe if not, let me know. I'm happy to do a show about that as well. But I think most of us don't really know how to surrender. And surrendering is a really tough topic, because it is not something that is taught to us as a desirable, power, or something that's very useful, because we associate with surrendering, giving our power. That's actually what it says in the dictionary, to somebody else, to somebody who has actually more power than we have. So it's looking like defeat. And we all like to win, and no one likes to be in the place of the loser. So that's already a strike against the idea of surrendering. And then there is that, what I certainly knew how to do very well, which is to control, to always have a sense of, I know what's going on and I determine the outcome of whatever situation I was in. So letting go of control and surrendering also doesn't really sound very attractive. And then we also have sometimes that feeling that surrendering is maybe a sense of weakness. We have been told, fight for what you want, never give in, never give up. Only the ones that are really doing all they can to reach their goals, those are the ones that are really successful. So that surrendering piece also sounds more like something that is a bad habit and may lead to complacency or laziness. And again, not to necessarily happiness and success. And the last piece that also doesn't really feel like surrendering is such an attractive thing to do is our impatience. When you surrender, you basically admit that I really don't know. I just know that I have to let go and accept what is. And that is not how, especially in these recent 30, 40 years where everything is more like, instant gratification programmed, that's not how we have been living. And this is not how we have been raising our expectations. So surrendering has a lot of negative associations. But if I tell you that surrendering is one of the most pleasurable and most meaningful and fulfilling things you can do for yourself, well, maybe you will be surprised when you actually give it a shot and try it out. And today I want to talk about what is surrendering, how we actually already know how to surrender. In fact, we are masters of surrender. We are just not really aware of that. And also, how can you surrender? What are steps, daily steps that can really make that muscle of surrendering stronger? And at the end of today's show, there will be a meditation, a guided meditation that gets you through a process of surrendering. And you can just surrender into that guided meditation and let go. And it will be eventually, like all our shows and guided meditations, on my YouTube channel, so you can listen to this again. So, surrendering. What is actually surrendering? Well, I would have to say that the first thing that comes to mind that I've learned in those 10-year increments of my surrender boot camp is the acceptance piece. And really letting go of the resistance against what is. I mean, how many times do you find yourself swimming upstream, putting all the effort into something, and then only finding out that it causes you actually more pain than you have made progress? And you still don't really know how to accept that it's not going to happen because you're too ashamed of it, or it feels like, such a weak thing to do. I had a client who wanted to have a promotion, and for that he was doing everything. He was on the beck and call of his boss all the time. Even on the weekends, he was willing to come into the office on a Sunday. He was working overtimes on Friday nights. I mean, his family was really upset with him because he seemed to have a closer relationship with his work than with his loved ones. And it was all about this real desire, this goal. I need a promotion because everybody else has a promotion, so I should have it too. And years went by, and despite everything he put in there, he didn't get the promotion. And so at some point when we worked on that pain that it caused him and the anxiety that was always an undercurrent in his life, he had to simply come to that moment of acceptance that it's not going to happen. For some reason, his boss doesn't see him as promotion worthy, or he's not maybe doing a good enough job, or maybe it's just the stars are not aligning. Whatever it is, he was willing to admit and accept what is. This is where right now I am, and for the foreseeable future, I will be like this. Now, the beautiful thing about this surrendering and this acceptance for him was that an enormous weight fell off his shoulders. It was almost like that for the first time in years, he could take a breath. He could sleep again. His anxiety was much less, and all these physical symptoms that were stress related, the pain in his back and all that weight loss he was dealing with, disappeared. He actually came back to life, and he enjoyed life again, and he felt like, okay, I actually don't have to maybe be so obsessed about something, and by doing this, overlook everything else in my life. And so the acceptance and the surrendering worked out very well, and 6 months later, he got his promotion. And he got his promotion because maybe his energy changed, and maybe he was more open to a flow, and maybe because he wasn't trying so hard and he wasn't appearing so in need of this promotion, which can be easily misinterpreted as neediness, maybe his boss was respecting him more, or seeing him actually as a bigger personality as before, and the promotion fell into his lap. So acceptance is something that is such a beautiful hallmark of surrendering. Now, when we come back, we'll talk about other hallmarks of surrendering, which will already teach you how to surrender more easily and what steps you can take to get there. Hi, Dr. Friedemann here. Thank you for tuning into my YouTube channel. If you're interested in learning more about fear and anxiety, here you'll find guided meditations, webinars, and interviews with some of the most renowned experts in the field of empowerment. Delve into the over 230 videos and more to come every week.